Hi Angus, thanks for being patient. I've had another look through all of the emails this evening and just wanted to sort of give you my thoughts generally on the wardrobe and the space. So the idea of fitting a 55 centimetre tower into that space below the boiler is interesting, and I've set this, you probably can't see that there, whoops, bear with me. I've put an additional plane in at 35 centimetres from the floor just so we can see where that's occurring. This pipe that's sticking out, if it goes all the way to the back, then it's going to interfere with that vertical there, and there is a chance it'll interfere with this horizontal here, and trying to fit, this is exactly 55 centimeters wide. I think I probably need to check that, but if your cupboard is exactly 55 centimeters wide, experience tells me that something will go wrong, because the wardrobe is, it's handmade, probably reasonably accurate, but half a millimetre is going to sort of throw that idea out. If you try and squash that into a 5, 4, 9 millimetre gap, it won't go. So you're then into the possibility of using a 45 centimetre wide unit in there, which, for what you're spending, excuse me for yawning, you're just not going to be gaining enough to warrant the expense, in my opinion. The scope to dramatically improve what you've already got is almost non-existent. I mean, you could spend £500-600 and get an absolutely marginal improvement on both wardrobes. So there are solutions for adding more full width drawers here. Let me just show you something. So that is a Blum Legra box. That is a Blum Legra box. That's a Blum Legra box. It's a really well-made product. Blum is the Austrian hinge manufacturer. You might have heard of them. The ones that I've got there are not particularly wide, but that's neither here nor there. I have made very wide ones in the past, and their wide drawer boxes come with sort of really elegant synchronization stuff. Those are all Blum Legra boxes as well. The problem is they're really, really expensive, and for me to measure and fit and do all of this for you, to put a few drawers in there, you'd be spending well in excess of £1,000, and I wouldn't be making that much money from that. So neither of us are going to win particularly by going down that route. I just question whether this wardrobe is worth throwing money at. I'm not going to sort of knock your first home if that's what it is, but I've seen hundreds of these. It's a hand-built wardrobe. It kind of does the job. I probably would have designed it differently myself if I'd have done it. I mean, I've seen hundreds of these in London. The builder has sized everything around board sizes, so that door is probably 2.3 something meters high, and it's designed for efficient cutting of the boards. It's not designed for efficient storage of clothes. But that said, it's doing an okay job. What I would do is I would put some additional shelves in here and get those things working marginally better, because I look at something like this and all I see is the fresh air. So I'm seeing fresh air here, here and here, and you know, those drawers might not be particularly well made, they might not be particularly well fitted, but they're probably okay. You know, putting a central rib resting on there in the middle of a drawer carcass, you just don't do things like that if you know what you're doing, but builders aren't cabinet makers. You know, same thing here, this is all adequate. You could put some shelves in here. It's not really something that, if you just wanted to add shelves in there and there, to be honest, you could probably do it yourself. It's not something that I could get involved with, and it's, even for a local handyman, that would be a tiny job. You could make marginal improvements here with a 45 wide Elfa unit, but it's such a marginal gain, I just don't know whether it's worth it. I'm wondering whether you should just knock this whole thing down, redecorate with all the, you know, all the damage and the witness marks that's going to leave, get the walls looking perfect, and then just Elfa the whole thing as an open wardrobe. I mean, you could put a blade of material on the left and on the right to just give you a little bit of a division from, presumably that's your bed there, and as a whole Elfa assembly, then yes, you could definitely start to get more out of this side, and you could circumnavigate the boiler a little more elegantly on this side, and you could make better use of this height, because we're not governed by 2440 board sizes, we're governed by how high we can reach with the rail and what we want to do. But you know, that is a much bigger project. For, it's a bit more of a gain in terms of storage, but not a whole lot. You know, the whole project would probably cost you, if you put the divisions in there, which you wouldn't have to do, but knocking that out and cleaning up those walls, probably set aside 500 quid for that, and roughly, I don't know, £1,000 worth of Elfa on both sides would give you some nice levels of functionality. So you know, you're into 2,500 there. Could easily go to 3,000, but I can't say definitely. It's what are you gaining? What are you gaining for that level of spend? Okay, listen, have a think and get back to me.